doing this.
Yeah, I was supposed to be out of state on a trip, but I canceled that and have been working like crazy on all kinds of crazy things and unexpected things that came up since I canceled the trip. But I decided since I canceled the trip and have been threatening to do this for a long time, I'd go ahead and make use of one of the nights and do it.
And we appreciate it.
Well, yeah. Thanks. So, anybody have any questions or anything before I dive into any of the stuff that I've got on my crazy list over here?
Waiting on you.
All right. Well, if you have questions while we go, just holler at me. So one of the things I've been talking about is because it comes up a lot, people doing it, and I see it done. I see it done kind of badly a lot, which is sky replacements, which is something that is becoming more and more common that we're doing. Boy, I'll tell you what, especially in the real estate work that I do, in rainy season, you go out on rainy, yucky, cloudy days, but they don't want that sky in the photos. So I do a lot. So I've discovered some things in all the work I've been doing with that. So let me and I'm going to run the beta version of Photoshop tonight because we might do some stuff with generative fill. So
that'd be great.
So I'm just going to run with that. In fact, I have something kind of funny to show you that happened to me with generative fill in in that, because boy, it is far from perfect, and it can really throw some surprises at you. So I'll show you one of the surprises I got this week in it.
I tried to follow that Asian guy you recommended, and I just couldn't.
That Lynn had on there, Unmeshed Dinda?
Whatever.
On Pix Imperfect?
Yeah. Oof.
Oh, he goes 1,000 miles an hour, but
my gosh!
But he is amazing. He is one of the most knowledgeable Photoshop guys I've ever seen, and that's one of the things I like about him too. He doesn't beat around the bush and do a bunch of silly things, and he doesn't even have an intro. It just starts out. It's okay, look, we're doing this, and it's bang right into it. Yeah, I like that.
I need to slow it down. I thought Mohan talked fast. Oof.
I'm going to can you guys see that?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me find a file. So, yeah, I think this is the one. All right. Oop, I got to move another zoom window off my Photoshop palettes. Good thing I got 3 screens here. So I actually this is from a shoot I did earlier this week, and it was raining. But it was about to rain. It was actually raining within 3 minutes of taking this photo right here. You can see the storm coming from behind. So this is one I had to do sky replacements on. So this is just straight out of camera, and there's a reason that straight out of the camera you'll say, oh, that looks kind of flat and dull, and it's actually deliberate, because if I'm going to do a sky replacement, that's actually what I like. Now, if I were not doing a sky replacement and just going to send this picture, I'd do this to it. This would be the adjustments that I have, and if you want to see them, they're right here. Here's all the sliders, and everything that they got moved on this. That would be what it would look like going out. Now, I think a lot of people, and what I see going on is you have your photo, you do this to it, you do all your adjustments to it, and then what I see a lot of people do is after they do adjustments to it, then they go here and they hit sky replacement. And this is just Adobe stock sky replacements. And this is what happens. and you look at that and it's like, okay, that sky looks fake. That sky doesn't look right. In fact, I'm going to I want to change how that's set up. I didn't want for it to come in as a big group like that. I normally don't do this in the beta version, so it's not set up the way I normally like it. I'm gonna throw that away. Let me do sky replacement.
Tim, I don't know if the others are having problem, but I'm having problem hearing you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Well, I'll let you know in another minute.
I haven't had any problems.
I was also having an issue with the hearing. I thought it was my hearing.
Mine's good.
what?
I don't know.
Oh gosh, you know what it is? No, I know what's wrong. You know, I got this mic right here in front of me, and it's not even turned on. You're picking me up on my webcam, which is
Yeah, it
away
sounds
from-
like you're a long ways away from the mic.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Well, thanks for pointing that out.
Well, you're welcome. We're we are fussy.
All right, let me go over to Zoom here and test 1 2 3 1 2 3. How's that sound?
Oh, that's a lot
8,000% better.
Okay, yeah, I'm on a real microphone now. Okay, there we go. So yeah, this is what I see a lot. All the adjustments get made, and then a sky gets put in, and then the sky looks flat, but you've already made the image, bright and contrasty and done all the adjustments to the image. And then a flat looking stock sky comes into the photo. And then you got to, if you want it to match, then you have to select the sky and try messing with the sky and then making the sky match. So what I've learned is don't even bother with adjusting anything. What I really want to have is a flat looking image coming out of the camera, because I know a lot of those stock sky files in the sky replacement module are flat, low contrast skies. So I'm going to take this, from out of the camera and just add that sky. And now you see the sky and the image both have that flat, low contrast look. So then when you make your adjustments, if you adjust everything at once, you're only adjusting one time and then everything looks like it matches. So I'll take those exact adjustments that are on here and just copy them to this so that you can see the difference. So this is the exact same adjustments, but now done to the image and the sky. And now you see they look like they're a match. Look at the difference there.
Yeah.
Now you see how flat that sky looks if you adjust the image first and then paste that sky on top of it, versus, here is where I pasted a flat sky on a flat image and then did the adjustments.
So how do you do that if you do a Lightroom workflow?
What you do is you send it to Photoshop before you do anything. You don't make any adjustments in Lightroom. You send it to Photoshop, you put the sky on it, then you send it back to Lightroom and you do the adjustments.
For us Fuji people, would you do the DNG conversion after or before?
Oh, do that before if if you shot a raw file.
Okay.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if he asks if you're a Fujifilm user and you're using something like Capture One, make your conversion, there first before you take it into Photoshop and do this.
But if you just shoot straight raw, you just
Yeah, if you're not a Fujifilm, shooter, then you're fine to just open it straight up in in Lightroom. Don't do any adjustments. Just send it straight from Lightroom over to Photoshop without making any adjustments. Put the sky on it, and then just take it back to Lightroom and do these adjustments.
I was talking about X transformer.
Well, yeah, okay, same thing.
Okay.
It's a Fujifilm RAW converter, whether it's Capture One or X Trans. Do your conversion first before you put the sky on it. because it's going to come into Photoshop typically with normal settings as a TIF file, and you want to have that conversion happen on a Fujifilm RAW file first.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good question, Ryan. Now, like when I shoot real estate like this, I do not waste my time in storage space shooting RAW files. I shoot real estate in JPEG. So that what came out of the camera was was that file right there. That's a JPEG out of the camera, and then no adjustments done to it. And like I say, if I were going to deliver it without a sky replacement, it's going to look like that. But those exact same adjustments, I would put the sky on it, and there you see, the sky and that flat unadjusted image file out of the camera is a really good match for the sky file as it comes from Adobe in the sky replacement. And then those exact same adjustments, instead of doing them just to one and then trying to make the other match, do the adjustments
All at one time.
to the entire image. And then you're only doing the adjustments once and everything matches, instead of trying to paste in a sky and then trying to make your sky match the adjustments you did to your image.
Jim, I saw that you used a smart filter there. Can you explain that a little bit? I still don't know how to use those.
Well, the reason for that is, for purposes of this demonstration, I'm not using Lightroom, but I am using Camera Raw Filter, which is Lightroom. It's the same thing. These are all the same sliders you have in Lightroom. The reason in Photoshop, the reason I put it as a smart filter is so that I can do this. I can go in here after the fact and adjust these. If you do not make it, if you not make it happen on a smart filter, you can do it once and then you can't go back to it and readjust those sliders if you want to.
So smart object and smart and is the equivalent of your Camera Raw filter?
No, the Camera Raw filter was applied to a smart object. The Camera Raw filter is the same thing as Lightroom. That's where the Lightroom develop module was copied from the Camera Raw, from the Camera Raw module. Camera Raw was always there long before Lightroom ever existed. And when Adobe came up with Lightroom, the develop module was just copied over from Camera Raw. So Camera Raw and Lightroom are all the same tools. They're all the same sliders. But I'll do something here for you so you can see. I'll just take this. I'll take this layer right here. And if I were not to turn it into a smart object, and I were to just go here and say Camera Raw filter, I could go and play around with it and do stuff to it, whatever, say okay. And it happened, but look, now I can't go back and change those sliders if I wanted to. It's locked in. That happened and I can't undo it, right now, unless I just undo it. But if I say convert for smart filters, which means turn it into a smart object.
That's what I was asking. Okay.
Yeah, you can right click here. Yeah. So if I do this, and it tells you right here, it's going to be converted into a smart object.
Okay, got it.
So now I do that. Now, if I open Camera Raw filter, now I can play around and do things, tell it okay. And then I can say, oh, you know what? That really sucks. I hate that. I want to change that. I can still go back here and open it up and say, oh yeah, let me fix that slider that I screwed up. Let me, as long as it's a smart object, you can keep going back and changing it. If you don't make it a smart object first, you can't go back and do that.
So do you routinely change and I guess the question is for the rest of the club. Do you guys usually routinely do your stuff as smart objects, Lynn, when you do your editing?
I don't really use I don't do that much in Photoshop, so I don't use smart objects hardly at all.
The same answer for me.
So Jim, can you said you could just bring it into Photoshop, the raw image, put the sky replacement, and then can you just do file save and then close and it'll be back in Lightroom and then you can do all your adjustments in Lightroom? Is that what you,
Yes, absolutely.
so you don't have to do camera raw and do the smart, you can just take it
Yep.
right back to Lightroom and just do your normal Lightroom adjustments and it'll adjust
Mhm.
the whole image.
Yeah.
Okay,
In fact,
okay.
yep, we'll do it. We'll do it right here, just so you can see. I was just doing that way just as a time saver, but
Yeah,
no time.
yeah, well,
Oh,
I
yep.
understand.
Yep. Look, here you go. There's there's that house. Okay. So yeah. All right. Let's take this file right here. Nope. Let's, all right, reset. And so
Yes.
there it is, flat, out of the camera file. That's it. Not going to do anything to it. We're just going to send it to Photoshop.
Interesting, the first photo you shot, I thought that bush was in the front of the yard, and now I see it's right next.
Well,
to-
now I'm standing on the other side of that bush that's in the middle of the yard.
Ah,
There is a bush in the middle of the yard. Now I put this image just puts that one out of frame.
all right.
Yeah, in the other image, this was hidden behind, that one. You're thinking of, okay, I used a different image. This one, see,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
one in the
yeah.
front and one in the back, and then I moved over here to take another
Okay.
shot because I wanted to get this, for what we're doing. I don't like that gutter there. I cropped that in the other one anyway. I cropped that gutter out, but there you go. This is just all I did was send it from Lightroom. No adjustments, zero adjustments at all whatsoever. And then from here, it's going to be edit, sky replacement. And now I've got a flat sky on a flat image. And then I'll just close it.
You're not going to make it into the smart object?
You don't need to do that.
No, because I'm taking it. You guys wanted to see it in Lightroom now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Right. Sorry.
So now
sorry.
I'm doing it, so now I'm doing it with Lightroom workflow.
Got it.
So I'm just showing you that an unedited, an unadjusted image went to Photoshop and a sky got put on it. Okay. And now here it is with that sky in Lightroom. And now I'm going to adjust the whole thing as though this were the image that came out of the camera with that sky, just as though I shot that sky with the camera, because you see that sky is a good match for that file. So when I think I'm going to do a sky replacement, I shoot a pretty flat looking, file in the camera in the first place, because then that gives me the leeway to, go ahead and do this. Yeah. And now everything I'm adjusting happens to the sky and the image, and everything looks like it's a match from the time you start doing the adjustments. So, but I see a lot of people go in Lightroom, do all their adjustments, then send it to Photoshop and then put a sky on it. And then it makes it really obvious that that sky doesn't match that file. So that's why I wanted to show you, if you don't adjust your file in the first place and do your sky replacement first, then do your adjustments to the entire image as though that were, what you started with. Just make that be your starting point before you do your adjustments. Does that make sense? Do you,
Yep.
Thank you.
yeah, do you see that? Does that look, you can see the visual and see why I recommend doing that, and that's how I do it. So when I do sky replacements, I actually send batches of files 10 at a time, unadjusted. I send 10 shots at a time to Photoshop, and then just do, sky, send them back, and then grab the next 10, dump them in Photoshop and do sky. And then I come back to Lightroom and I have a whole bunch of files that have the skies in them now. And then I just start working in Lightroom just as though those were, the files I shot.
I
So
assume
that's
if you're
I
going to
didn't
shoot,
know.
if you got a shot with one, you're using shots for images from one shoot that you're changing and putting different sort of related skies in them, or are you just moving the sky around to make it look different?
Well, what I'll do, it depends on the price point of the house if it's a if it's a small if it's a small house like this one, I'll just dump the same sky in and I'll move it. You can move it around a little bit in Photoshop. You can shift the sky around, which I'll do, so it just doesn't look like the same exact file. But on a more expensive home, yes, I will take 3 or 4 different sky files, and I'll find all the angles, everything that's from the front, everything that's from the back, everything that's angled to angled to the right side and angled to the left side, and then find 4 different sky files and shift them around throughout the various files so that it does not appear on an expensive listing like there's been the same sky dumped in on top of the house. That's a great question, Lynn. But yes, like 2 weeks ago I did a very expensive home, and it was about to rain on it, same thing, and I did sky replacements. But that's what I did. I did 4 different skies on it, and even the same skies, I shifted them around in Photoshop. And if you guys want to see that.
Yeah. And Jim, at the same time, if you have skies that you've purchased or skies that you've shot,
Yes.
how do you bring them into?
Good question. I will show you, because I have in addition to what Adobe provides, I have a sky folder with another couple hundred skies in it that I source from.
So you said something interesting before. So apparently you can select more than one image in Lightroom and export them to Photoshop all at once and then import them all back simultaneously?
Oh yeah, when I'm doing sky replacements, I dump 10 files at a time in Photoshop.
Okay, I didn't know you could do that. Okay.
You have to go to the grid. You can't do it from the film strip in the develop module. If you're in the develop module, you can only send 1 image at a time to Photoshop. But since you're not editing them anyway, you don't need to be in the develop module. So I open them up, and in the grid, I'll grab 10 at a time and send them to Photoshop, and they pile up here as 10 different tabs in Photoshop, and then I just roll through them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then and do them that way. Because I'll have on a big house, if I need to do that, I will have I'll have 30 to 40 sky replacements to do. So I'll do them in 3 or 4 batches of 10.
Yeah, Brian, just don't send them over as layers. Just send them over as separate files.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. That's important, Lynn. Thank you for pointing that out. Because I always
Yeah.
do it as
But here,
layers.
all right, see, I've got the sky replacement, going on. You can see this checkbox that says flip.
Yeah.
Oh, look, now it's like a whole nother sky file. So you can take one, you can take it and flip it so that gives you a different looking sky file. And you've got this scale slider, which you can change the scaling around, which lets it look like it's different, as well. And it will look different as the horizon is different in your different shots. The same sky will look a little different as to which part of the clouds. See in the thumbnail over here, all the different clouds that appear?
Right.
Depending on where your horizon sits and what angle lens you use, different amounts of this will appear, in your image. And then between flipping it and scaling it, you can make some changes as well. And you can even, if you want to take your time, you can make it look like, the sky has been changing a little bit from shot to shot if you want to scale it a little bit, differently from shot to shot. So you've got some leeway, there. And you see right here, this, when you go here and you've got the loose ends. See this folder right here? That lets you browse to another, if you've got a folder full of skies, you can, nope, that is not the right one. Let's see, it's one of the, yeah, there it is. It's the plus sign in the middle there. So
you can go to your folder that has your skies in it.
yeah, oops, it appeared there.
Saw it.
Yep. Yeah. So right here, here's another folder full of skies, that I have to choose from. So I have a lot of possible sky files to work with here.
And you hit the plus sign, right, Jim?
Yeah, this plus sign right here.
How did you get the box that had that plus sign in it, please?
It's
And-
where you choose your skies from normally. See right here.
Oh, got it. Okay.
These are the stock ones that Adobe gives you, and then if you have your own, you can click this, plus right here and go browse to your own, your own additional sky folder.
And I think it adds it to that list
And
too. Yeah.
Yes, if you actually use one, then the one you use becomes part of this list. You are correct, Lynn.
Okay.
So then you don't have to go hunt for, one that you've used again. That way it will appear in this list. It starts building, them in for you.
Can you move it around, Jim, the picture?
You can scale it, but you can't actually move it around. Not that I'm aware of.
If you end up with a crappy.
Move tool right there at the top.
Yeah.
By moving it,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
you
a
can
little
move it
bit.
around.
Yeah. If you scale it, you've got to scale it, to enough of a scale to do it. Yeah, you can do a little bit of that if you scale it enough.
If you end up with a really crappy sky in your list, can you delete it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. See the trash can?
Ah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, I remember one of the criticisms for one of the sky replacements that was done for a competition were halos.
Mm-hmm.
And
And that happened because that was also because the image was very heavily processed before the sky was put in.
okay.
And so the image itself had some halos in the original, in the original sky that bled through to the sky replacement.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
I hear your voices in my head when I'm editing.
But yeah, so then you can do that, and then it's and yeah, well, we may as well just do it.
Yep.
Oh, that's the other one I brought in. But yeah, like I say, we sent that one back to Lightroom and just adjusted it there. There's the totally unadjusted file with the sky on it, and then it got adjusted.
Cool.
And the beauty of that is, like I say, when I do them like 10 at a time, then I do this to the first one, and then of course I select them and and hit sync, and then just sync that adjustment to the next 9 files.
Can you show me how to do that? I tried to do that the other day. I copied the settings and I thought I applied it, but I don't think I did.
Mm.
Oh, I wasn't trying to do it to multiple shots though.
Oh yeah, like I say, okay, we'll put some adjustments on this. I'll do a couple things to it.
And then you copy it.
Mm-hmm. And then and then you do this. Well, that one's already done and whatever, and you just hit sync, and then you make sure that what the adjustments that you want to carry over are checked,
Right.
and then all of those files will get those same adjustments. And by the way, Brian.
Yep.
Okay. So if you go, here, and you can pick multiple files. See how I'm doing that?
Yep.
And then edit in, and you can use the shortcut.
All right. So, but Lynn said something about don't do it as layers. How do you make sure you don't do it as layers?
You don't
Because
go-
look, if you do this option right here, edit, you've got down here, it says open as layers in Photoshop. She's
I know
saying
it.
don't click that. You click here.
Okay, that's what I always do. So I was good to know. Good to
Uh-huh.
know.
Yeah, and I use the Control E shortcut, Command E, and watch what happens here. There, see? I had 4 selected. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
So then I can just go through them, save them, then they land in Lightroom. Then I adjust the first one, and then I synchronize that adjustment and I do them 10 at a time. when I do them.
Yeah,
So I'll have 10 of them here and just drop in that same sky, one after the other, boom, 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 boom. And, and then in Lightroom, adjust the first one and sync the other 9.
Jim, I
Yeah.
assume that when you're doing real estate photography, that you don't make any changes to the house or like fill in the grass or anything like that.
No,
Okay.
that can cause a liability as a real estate ethics violation. Yep, you don't take out power lines. You don't. Now, what you can do as a side note. Okay, inside a house, somebody's getting it ready to sell. And like let's just say in here, and they say oh, we're unbolting this TV stand, off the wall tomorrow. Can you retouch that out of the pictures? Yeah, the answer is yes, because that is going to be gone by the time they close on the house. And so I'm allowed to say yes, I can retouch that, out of the photos. But something structural, or something that can't be changed, that you can't do that. Nothing that's going to stay with the house through closing can you do. But if they say, okay, yeah, we're painting this, we're fixing that, we're taking this mount off the wall, sure, that's not a problem to do that. So that's where that falls. So yeah, power lines and stuff, nope, you can't take out. They're there. Yeah, now you can shoot around them. Yeah, you can find angles that don't include them, but those houses that have the the high voltage power lines on the towers behind them, and it's got the big pylon holding up the wires on the right of way behind the house. No, you can't take that out. Although I get asked all the time, can you? The answer is definitely no. Any other questions on the sky replacement?
No, it's good.
All right, good.
I
Jim,
guess,
I had a
I guess
question.
when taking photos yourself, you see an interesting sky and you think you might want to use that. Are there any considerations as far as matching with future photos that you don't even know about?
Yeah, again, because most of the stock ones that come with Adobe are very flat and low in contrast. That's what I do too. I shoot it flat, low in contrast. So that once it ends up in that in that sky replacement tool, because I've used it or it's in my folder, it's like the rest of them, and I know my workflow is going to work. So I don't shoot skies and then edit them and then put an edited sky in that folder. I shoot a flat file and let the flat low contrast file be in the folder, so that this procedure that I'm used to doing will work.
So I saw your sky was a JPEG, the one that you had shot yourself. When if I've gone out somewhere and there's really.
And actually, I didn't shoot that myself. That was a folder of stuff I downloaded online one time. I didn't shoot those. There's a couple in there that I shot myself, but not many.
So I did a bunch of skies somewhere, but I shot it in RAW. Does that matter?
I don't know if the sky replacement tool will work with a raw file from a sky.
Okay.
No, it will. It won't.
I honestly don't know the answer to that.
It won't. It has to be a JPEG.
It does. I thought that it had to be a JPEG, but I can't, I couldn't, 100% say yes or no on that. But I know everything that Adobe supplies is a JPEG. And so I thought that was probably the case.
Thank you.
Jim, I have a question.
Mhm.
Last week during competition, or the last time we met, there was a sky replacement, and the trees, well, you could tell it was a replacement because the trees were smudged and messed up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, you recall the incident, or you recall
Yes.
the
Yes.
picture?
Yep. Uh-huh.
Is there a way to correct that when that happens, or is it just not a good photo for sky replacement?
Well, yeah, and part of that has to do with what we're doing now, which is don't make adjustments to the image first, and then they do turn out to be a better match when they come together. If you haven't adjusted the image, that you're working with first, then you typically get a cleaner match, because if you've already been adjusting it and you've already touched things like contrast, sharpness, texture, dehaze, clarity, things like that, you're affecting the edges in the image that you have. And then the sky replacement tool wants to do some blending when it puts them together. And if you've put some very hard edges and things in there, you're giving it some issues with blending and stuff. If you leave everything untouched, like I've been doing here, and it's soft and doesn't have contrast and stuff, then it seems to me, in my experience anyway, that the algorithm works better with putting the two files together.
Gotcha.
in the tool, as opposed to if it's working with really hard contrasty things going on. Because part of the realism of how it makes the sky work, it does do blending of the sky at the edges, and soft edges work better for that. So
Piggybacking to Jack's question, when you have, say, an object like a tree with a lot of branches and bushy tree and stuff like that, and you drop a sky in it, does the sky, I know this sounds horrible, does the sky fall on top of the tree, or how does it?
No, the AI algorithm does a pretty good job of understanding the holes between the branches and the leaves and stuff and everything, and making a mask, for all those holes, and letting it show through the various holes and stuff in the tree. But it also uses blending modes. You know how when you're putting layers, if you stack layers together in Photoshop and you can assign a blending mode, there's also a blending mode in there. And let's do this.
And over time, guys, the AI it will be getting better and better. So
it has definitely been improving. But let's see here. See right here, if you flip this open right here, this is lighting mode multiply. Here's where, if you want to be looking at your edges and you need to see if you finesse something, you've got screen blending,
Just a light one.
you've got multiply mode, and because there is a large overlap, it doesn't want to go just directly hard edge to hard edge. Watch the roof of this house as I change the lighting mode.
Oh, wow.
So you see how far that sky really does over. That sky is overlapping all the way, at least as far as where my mouse is down here. That sky file is overlapping here, but they're using blending modes and masking and opacity of the mask that's going on in the background to affect that. So there you can really see how much overlap it is. It's not cutting a hard edge.
Right.
There's a big overlap that it's blending. And so you can do some finessing, here if you need to, by flipping this down. And if you really need to finesse it after the fact, in a case like that image we saw with the trees going on and stuff, I haven't set to duplicate layer because this just is quick. It just gives me one single layer with the sky on it. If you really want to finesse it, see this option that says new layers?
Right.
All right, now watch. Now here's what really is going on. It's giving you two groups with masks going on, and then if you need to, you can finesse these masks and the individual layers and everything. These are the individual parts that actually make up that sky replacement file. Yeah.
So by brushing the edges, you can adjust them to your liking. Is that it?
Yeah. See, there's one of the masks that shows you where it's blending the sky.
Yeah.
And then here's the other. So it's using a combination of this mask and this mask. And so between these two masks and the opacity of the masks and the blending modes, it's very complex, what they're actually doing, in the, and you do have those options to play with that if you need to. I say as it's getting better and better, and like I say, for me having to work quick, with the real estate stuff and just turning it around fast overnight, I just tell it to output to a single layer, boom, because this stuff's getting all compressed, to MLS. Anyway, it's only being viewed online at screen resolution on MLS. I am not going to sit here and finesse around with with a bunch of masks, to do a sky replacement on a house shoot. But if it's a landscape image that you're going to print or something you're going to put into competition, then yes, you may very well, want to go in here and, finagle these things and make it look the best you can if it's not providing you a good enough match in the first place.
Jim, on another, just for clarification, can I export a raw file from Lightroom to Photoshop? And then once it's in Photoshop, replace the sky with the JPEG?
Yes, because it'll turn it into because Lightroom will send it depending on your preferences that you've set in Lightroom. It usually, if you leave it at default, your raw file will end up in Photoshop as a TIF file, and it has no problem dropping a JPEG sky onto a TIF file. There's no issues with that happening in Photoshop.
Thank you.
And then, it does, the whole thing will still be a TIFF file when it comes back to Lightroom. Your file that comes back to Lightroom will be a TIFF file, even though the source for the sky was a JPEG. What will come back to your Lightroom will be a TIFF file.
Do you have a preferred blending mode on that, Jim, or you just leave it alone?
The multiply blend works for me, 99% of the time. I rarely look at it and say, oh, I need to switch it to, screen or, go in here, And like I say, and I'm doing this, I'm doing this for work, for the real estate stuff. There's not too often that I'm doing this on a personal, file, but I wanted to show this to all you guys because I do see a fair amount of files, being entered in club exhibition nights that, have sky replacements. So I wanted to help you do a better job with them.
Thank you.
Again, for exhibition, if you do a sky replacement, that becomes altered reality, correct?
Yeah, market AI. Mm-hmm.
You just took my
or AR,
question.
excuse me. Yeah, I'm so used to saying AI now, but yeah, no, AR. Just put AR on it. You're not going to have points detracted, if you say it's AR. But you could lose a point if it's obviously a replacement and you haven't indicated it, because then it looks like you're trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes.
And we would never do that.
Now, if you do a good enough job and nobody knows, then good for you. But but if we look at it and say, oh, look at that nasty sky replacement, and they didn't mark it AR, then yeah, that's taking you down a few notches. Just open one of these back up again.
Jim, is there a reason why you use the beta version versus the regular photo? The beta doing better job with the sky replacement?
No, I'm using it tonight because we might do stuff with
with
generative fill, and so I just
fine.
turned this on so that I don't have to switch versions of Photoshop, midstream tonight. Yeah, as far as sky replacement goes, it's exactly the same.
Okay, thank you.
Everything that's in the stock shipping version of Photoshop is exactly the same, in the beta that I'm aware of. It's just it's just the new features that are in testing that you get in this that aren't in the other. So is everyone comfortable or have any questions about this thing, the contextual toolbar?
I have no
Park it
idea
at the
what that
bottom.
is.
Park it down at the bottom. Yeah,
I actually love this thing.
yeah.
You know,
I've
it's-
never used it.
well, so you know, it's a floating toolbar that the tools change based on what you're doing. You know, when you get a
Oh,
tool
wow.
and you get a bunch of different stuff up here, a lot of times when you use a tool, then you will get down here tools that are the most useful. So right now, nothing's been going on with this image, and they know one of the most common things that people are doing is select subject, remove background. Okay, add a
Blending mode.
yep, add an adjustment layer. That's an adjustment layer. There's transform the image. That it's grayed out right now because there's nothing selected, but it gives you the most common things that are done based on any given thing that's happening. For instance, if I put a selection, let me change it from fixed size. We were doing that for another thing. Let's see, and see even right here, common tool, deselect.
Oh, wow. That's
So,
cool.
so when you're using a tool, as soon as you activate the tool, some of the most common options to save you from going up here to the menus and everything are appearing, right here. This will invert the selection. Here's your, transform. So if I do that, oh, there's my handles, right there. I don't have to go up here and, and say, select transform. It's as soon as you do something, then the most useful things that are associated with what's going on are here. So I can say, oh, let me cancel that transformation. And you've got all your, create a new adjustment layer with, that will be masked by this, more options. These are options associated with this bar. We'll talk about those in a minute. Deselect. There's modify. This one, use this one all the time. Modify selection, expand, contract, feather. It's all right here instead of remembering to go up here and say select, modify, smooth, expand, contract. It saves you all that time of driving your mouse all over the place and remembering, oh, where is it up there? Because now it's right here and it floats around right under wherever you do something.
But it changed. It put generative.
Well, because you could put, because, I could say, oh, generative fill, and you can just say, okay, generate. Let's see what it puts where that window is.
Yeah. So it selects what it's going to put in it?
Generative fill, if you don't give it a prompt, then it makes up its own. There, see,
The wall.
it
That is
decided.
so cool.
I moused, I put a selection around the window and said generative fill, and it says, oh, maybe you don't like the window, or maybe you want some lights on the wall, or maybe you don't. So, or I could say,
Some prison bars.
you could do it. It takes a minute because this happens on Adobe's end. This doesn't happen in your computer. You need a, there you go.
Wow.
That is so cool. Jim,
There you go. You got 3 different versions of a jail cell. Yeah.
That's great.
So I would like to see what it gives you for the remove tool.
Mhm.
Huh?
But, oh, yeah, okay, we'll do that in a minute. But let's say there's but for whatever you do, this bar down here, winds up just giving you a whole bunch of shortcuts to save you from going up here in these menus to get to
Right.
things, and it's constantly changing. Now, what some people find is, okay, well, they feel like it's in the way. You can grab this right here and move it around to, wherever you want. And you have an option. If you say, just stay out of my way and be down here, you can say pin bar position. You see this? And now it's going to stay there. So now no matter where I do something with a tool, it's staying down here because I pinned it to there. I can now say, I can uncheck the, pin the bar position, and now it'll start floating around, where it thinks it should be. And it will, it will try and get out of your way as much as possible, when you do things.
Jim, you mentioned something right before we started moving this guy around. When you put a selection, you created a selection, and then you said if you just want to limit the masking to, if you applied a mask at that point, it would limit it just to that selection? Or did I not understand that? You had put a selection box around that tree. And then you said if you wanted to put a mask on it, because that was one of the options.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, all right. If I did this and we wanted to make an adjustment layer.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So let me just get rid of that. Okay. So we want to make an adjustment layer. Now we've got the adjustment. It popped open the adjustment panels, right here. So we could say, okay, well, let's do curves. This is what I was talking about. Where I drew that selection is now a mask.
Okay, so that's what my question is. Okay, so
yeah, if I choose make an adjustment layer, your selection then becomes what, where the mask is. So now if I adjust this curve, you see it happens where I drew the box.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's what we were talking about was.
Thank you.
Yes, if you use this right here, create an adjustment layer, and you've got a selection when you go to create an adjustment layer.
Got it.
Then you have that as a mask.
Got it. Thank you.
Guys, hopefully you all have the latest version of Photoshop, because that's the only place you're going to see this floating little bar down
Yeah,
there,
and it's in the real version of Photoshop. It's not just in the beta.
Yes.
It happens to be in the beta, too. But as you get different tools. Yeah.
I don't know if this happened to anybody else, but I had the updated version of Photoshop, and then I downloaded the beta version. And then when I would do like Command E, and it totally completely took out my regular Photoshop, and it would only open, and the only one that showed up was my beta version. So I had to call Adobe and get them to help me put the other one back in. So now I can run both of them, but it completely took my photo. It was still listed as an application, but it wasn't somehow coming up when I did Command E or anything.
Yeah, in my case, at least on my system, whichever of the two Photoshops I have open is the one that when I invoke Control E on my system is the one that opens, is the one that the image will go to, is whichever one I have open. It does, so.
If you have beta open, it will ask you if you want to go to the regular Photoshop.
Yeah, I had
Mine does not.
I had both of mine open one time.
Mac does.
And maybe
if you have them both open.
Yeah, it asked me which.
I only have one open, and it asks me if I want to go to the regular. If I have the beta open, it will ask me if I want to go to the regular Photoshop or not.
Yeah. Now see, I have the beta open, and if you've noticed, when I've been sending things there from Lightroom, it hasn't asked me at all tonight. It just sends them there because that's the one I have open.
What I was saying is like, go ahead.
Same with me.
But yeah, any tool you use, it gives you then the most common, the most common options, down here. There's an invert, there's all different, whatever tool you have going on, it's just going to give you the most common options here. And it tries to put it, just to save you from, it puts it right where it thinks your mouse is going to be close to it to get to those options. As opposed to trying to remember, what menu is that in and where do I go to and find it up here. So that's what that is. That's just it's a new shortcut thing. And if you don't like it, you can make it go away. You can say hide the bar. Some people are like, oh my God, that's just so annoying that that you can just hide it. So that's all it is. That's a new thing in the latest version. It's called the contextual toolbar.
Cool.
Now, this is something new too. Who's seen this up here in the adjustments box? These preset adjustments.
It's like working on your phone.
Sort of, but much more powerful. So let me do something here. Let's get rid of this.
So that came up when you hit the adjustment, to create the adjustment layer?
Yeah, the actual adjustments palette has a whole new bunch of presets in it, but I'm going to show you what's up with those. Here, let's do. In fact, I am, just because I'm used to working in it. I'm going to. I will. Well, while this is open, I'm just going to jump to something else. We'll go to the generative fill for a minute. I've got an image that I was playing around with this real estate stuff the other day, and I decided, hey, let me just see what happens here. Let me see if this is the file. Yeah, this is the file. So yeah, this is that same one I was looking at a minute ago. I thought, this is a vacant home. I wonder how soon people are going to start using generative fill to put furniture
In it.
in there. So just for the heck of it, I knew I wanted to keep the window. So you see, I made a mask for the window here, and you see my prompt was furniture. Just for the heck of it, I said, let me keep the window so that it doesn't mess with the window until it put furniture in the room. That's what I got. That's some.
Can you do that again, Jim, from the beginning, please?
Yeah, it's just, there's the
Where
original.
did you make your selection?
How did I make the selection?
Where
With
did you make it?
I used
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, object selection to a quick selection.
quick select tool and
Okay,
selected
got
my
it.
window.
I missed that part. Okay.
Well, yeah, I'd already done that, So, and it, made a mask, and I typed the word furniture, and I got this, and you can see generative fill has a long way to go here. That is a really sad looking count. Look at the stains on this upholstery. Look at this poor sad pillow. Look at oh my God, look at what in the world is that? What is that? There is some
like an emesis basin.
What about the other selections?
There is some crazy stuff going on. Oh, believe me, the other three were worse. This was the best looking of the three. Trust me. So then I said, you know what? Take the mask away. Let's just let it go for it on its own. But let's tell it. Okay, and I see the prompt: fill room with furniture.
Okay. Oh, because you took the mask away?
Yeah, like I say, I did this. I took the mask away, and I told it, fill room with furniture. Window be damned. Let's just see, what are you going to do, generative fill? I got a completely different room. It didn't even care about my room anymore. It gave me an entirely different.
Better.
So, oh look, here's your upgrade. So then this is the last thing I did, and this was the best of all. Okay, I went and I said, I gave it the third option, no mask, and I went back to just the word furniture. I didn't say fill room with furniture. I said, I don't care whether the window's there or not, room, just gave it the word furniture. This is the first thing that came up. I about fell out of my chair. This is 100% for real what generative fill gave me.
That's freaky.
Comes with
nightmare,
beheaded
that one.
baby
A
and all.
decapitated head on a sofa.
That's,
Oh, my God.
That's Adobe sticking it in your face.
that's eerie, man.
And at that point, I had to save this file. With it's like, I'm not letting this get away. I'm keeping this for posterity.
I'm sure we could use this in a camera competition during Halloween for most macabre photo.
But going back to option number one, as horrible as it is, it's still incredible.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, you can see that, down the road, this is going to be, this will be pretty powerful.
Jim, you have to do this on your high-end house and see if it
Oh my
gives you
God.
nicer furniture.
I think the beheaded
And
baby.
guys, you
Yep.
can, he could
Yeah.
regenerate this. If he hit the generate button again, he'd get a whole nother series of stuff
Uh-huh.
in there.
Yeah,
can
and
Do it over and over again.
And I saved this because this was the best, because everything else that the next generation, that it got progressively worse. It just got more and more horrible. I mean, there was furniture that looked like it belonged, in a home on an alien planet. That was like, you couldn't even discern what the object of furniture was supposed to be. It was crazy stuff. The other thing that happens once in a while is it thinks you're trying to, if you give it prompts, it has a bunch of keywords and certain things it doesn't want to do that it thinks are a violation of policy. And so it comes up with this warning when you do certain keywords and stuff, or words to generate. Funny thing was, I was working on a shot the other day of downtown Seattle, and I wanted to take somebody off the sidewalk, and it did a great job of taking them off the sidewalk but the only thing was that where that person had been, it took them completely out, did a nice job, except it stuck a random leg from the knee down with a sneaker on it that did not belong to the original person. I was like, okay, well, let me just take that out. Do you know the leg that it put in, it would not let me take out, no matter how many times I tried to remove that leg. I I did a selection around it and told it, and use generative fill. It kept telling me that I was violating Adobe policy by trying to remove that leg that Adobe put there. Yeah, it simply would not let that leg go away once it stuck it there. It was crazy.
Is there a leg up on you?
So
That's pretty funny.
That's crazy.
yeah, I'm going to open my my real version of Photoshop now, because it has the shortcuts and stuff that I'm used to programmed into it. So I shouldn't need generative fill for anything here.
Is there anything else we needed to know about generative fill? I've not tried it yet.
There's a bunch, but I just wanted to just wanted to show you that real quick. But this has my toolbars and interfaces that I'm used to right here now. So let me bring this in.
Yeah, you just need to go into Photoshop and beta and just play with it. That's the best way to learn how to use that generative fill. And
Okay.
it's like it's not very good yet, but
Okay.
it's still fun to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Have you used it successfully just to remove an object, Lynn, versus using the conventional Photoshop?
I basically used the remove tool, which I think he's going to go over next. But
The remove
and
tool
he kind of
works
gave us
real-
a little bit of lesson on that, the other
And-
night, where he told us, that the generative fill does not have the same resolution
Okay.
as the return as a remove
Got
tool,
it.
at least at this
Yeah.
point.
Remove
Somewhere along the
tool,
line, it'll probably get better.
yes, does keep things at the same resolution of your original image. The generative fill does not. It only has a 1024 by 1024 max resolution right now on generative fill. So which we were dealing with the other night. But yeah, these new adjustment presets here, they're sort of like filters. In fact,
Where are you now, Jim? I'm sorry. You're in the regular?
Yeah, I'm just in regular, but this is in both. This is a real feature. If you have your adjustment panel now, has all these has all the, besides your, regular individual adjustments that you're used to right here, a curves layer, an exposure layer, a levels layer, all that. They now have
More under more.
a bunch of presets, but these aren't as simple as you think they are. You can hover over these and see the effect as you hover over them on your image. But if you actually apply one, and okay, like that looks kind of cool, kind of spooky looking. You notice what it did over here in the layers? It's not just a simple filter. These are combinations of the adjustment tools. So if so these tools right here, levels and curves and everything else, hue, saturation, all these other things. Every one of these that you see is actually, you saw when I clicked that one over here, it put a group here with 2 different adjustment layers. It did a hue saturation adjustment layer and a brightness contrast adjustment layer on top of that. It did a combination of 2 things. And I'll just get this out of the way for a minute here. So you can see that it did 2 different things. So there's my original image. It put a hue saturation layer on it, and on top of that, it put a brightness contrast layer on there. And the beauty of this is, once you pick one of these and apply it, if you go over here, because they're adjustment layers, you now have the option to tweak that. You're not locked into just what that preset is. You have the ability to go in here, and every part of what became that, you can adjust.
Could you invert the mask that it put?
Well, that would just hide it, because there's,
Correct, but then if you just wanted to paint it in or something.
Yeah, but if you didn't want this part of there, you can just
Set it up.
deactivate it. That's the same as inverting it. Or if you don't want it, you can just drag it in the trash, and just leave it to 1. But you can count these as a starting point, and then go over here and then adjust whatever it actually does to your image.
That's really cool. And how,
And
can you-
then suppose you go in here, then and then the next question from a lot of people will be, oh, can I save my own? Well, yes. So I took this, and let's say I want to get even a little extreme with this. Make it kind of really spooky looking. Like that. And I say, okay, well, let me save this.
where are you?
You can add this. You see how it's a group here? They put it as a group, and the group contains those adjustments. If you've got the group selected, you've got a library. And if you open your library panel, which is, here, window, library. If you open that, there's a plus symbol right here.
Oh, so you add it as a preset?
You can add, when you make your own, and you can do this with anything, not just, you don't have to even start from here. You can make anything that you decide to do. If you put it in a group, select a group, click this plus symbol, and say add all.
That'll apply it to the.
And look, there it is right there. See, creative dark fade. It took the name of the group, whatever the group's name is, and it put it right there. It's in the library now. So now that it's in my library, let's say I want to open up another image. So now if I say, hey, that preset that I made, I want to apply it to this. It's right over here, creative dark fade. All you do is double click. And this is what it does. It creates, you notice what it did up here? It created a separate tab, and it put those things here as a separate tab. This is the trick. You take it from this separate tab that just opened up. I'm going to do that one more time for you. Double click this. It opens that up as its own file. You grab this group, take it to the image that you want and drop it on it. And there it is. And then you still have the option, because of the way you saved it, to tweak it.
So it's like
But
a small.
that's a way that you can save something and keep it fully adjustable by adding it to your library, and then it'll be in your library, and as long as you leave it there or until you take it back out of your library again. And then if you use other Adobe products like Adobe Illustrator, Premiere Pro, etc., anything you put in your library is available across the platform if it's a usable asset.
Hey, Jim, I got a question. You said you put that in a group, but right up here at the top, it says not grouped in your library. Not.
Oh, no. Okay. Here, okay. Yeah. This means something different than here. You see this little folder icon here? Adobe calls this a group, and these things are in a group. Over here in the library, you can create organizational groups for your assets within your library. And so here I have images, I have typography, I have colors, and then these are just assets that I have not assigned to one of these other groups.
All right, that's cool. All right.
Yeah, that's what that. Good question, though. Yeah, this not grouped simply means that these assets here have not been placed into one of these other pre-existing groups. You could call this, the miscellaneous, group, as it were. But I could, for instance, this is actually a color. I could put that in the colors group. This is a color swatch. I could put that in, the colors group. That would make more sense. They kind of really belong there anyway. This arrow is an image. Yeah, I could put that in the image, folder. But these are just assets that I've dumped in there and been too lazy then to put them in the group.
So if you have like a kind of a boring landscape and you're going to try to use this new functionality I'm learning about tonight to spice it up, would you do it with a Lightroom workflow? Would you do it first or last?
Well, this is specific to Photoshop. So you would like I say, if you want to do what you normally would do in Lightroom and then still want to do more Photoshop stuff to it, these are Photoshop specific things.
Right, I understand that, but with the sky, you were recommending that we make the sky adjustment first.
Oh, okay, right. I see what you're saying. No, in this case, this is strictly these tools. You can use them, as hard as you like them or as subtle as you like them. These are tools that do not exist in Lightroom.
I don't think you still understand my question though. If you were going to apply one of these things, whatever you call these things, what are they called?
Adjustment layers.
Adjustment layers. Okay, would you open up would the first thing you do is export it from Lightroom and apply this adjustment layer and then make adjustments in Lightroom? Or would you make adjustments in Lightroom and then export it to Photoshop and apply this adjustment layer?
That is image dependent.
Okay.
Sometimes I will make a bunch of preliminary adjustments in Lightroom and then take it over here to do specific things. Sometimes it will go here first and have specific things done and then go back to Lightroom. I posted a couple times, one time during a meeting, my entire workflow that kind of breaks that down. It's kind of like a flow chart of, if you're going to do this, I do it first, versus that. I have a whole workflow that dictates that. And so there is no one correct answer to that.
Okay.
It's sometimes it will be adjusted in Lightroom first, sometimes it will not.
All right, I have that workflow, so I will look at that.
Jim, could I ask you a favor? And I don't know if you don't want to do it now, then I'll just try to see it when you send the video. Could you just do that whole thing over, like with a new picture or something? the whole workflow that you just did with that? You don't have to. I mean, as I said, I can just run it slowly when you did it. It just kind of went a little too fast for me.
I think Jim just keeled over.
Thank you. I thought it was just me.
You froze him. You're muted, Jim.
Jim got muted. I think he's having issues.
I see Diana got muted too.
I did that.
Oh, okay.
I was
Yeah,
coughing.
You really put him in.
Yeah, he
somewhere inside
something
the
happened
tree.
because he stopped sharing as well. So
Yeah. Jim Hagan, I've been admiring your man cave back there. You're muted, Jim.
Yeah, I built that workbench, believe it or not, out of cross beams from a telephone poles. You know, the ones that,
Yeah.
yeah, my brother works for a power company and they were throwing all these old cross beams out.
Right.
I took them, cleaned them up and built a workbench out of it.
I bet it'll
Awesome.
last forever.
It weighs about 600 pounds.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You won't be moving soon.
I'm sorry, what?
I said you won't be moving soon.
Oh, I have a lot of stuff in my shop that's self-protecting. I say that because it's all over 600 pounds. Just not, that table saw back there, 5 people to pick it up.
My goodness, my goodness.
Well, Jack, you have a bunch of stuff too there. You got a lot of toys to play with.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey,
I
can you
love
guys
it.
hear me?
Yes.
Ah, you're
Yes.
back.
Well,
You're
I
back.
found a thumbnail for my Zoom window has entirely disappeared and I cannot bring it back except in thumbnail form. My Zoom just completely reset
Wow.
while we were in the middle of that. And okay, now it's coming back. All right. I'm finally getting it back. I could not get the full screen version to come back. All right. Let me go back to sharing the screen now.
Diana, don't do that again, okay?
There we go.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I didn't.
All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So yeah, for instance, if we just wanted to, do a whole bunch of different things with this, just to get creative, you could add, any number of things here.
I was hoping that you could like do the whole thing where you started from the beginning, where you selected the thing, the adjustment panel.
Okay, yeah, that's what I just did. I'll just okay. I have an image here.
Okay.
I have the adjustment panel open, and just
Okay.
just randomly, I'm gonna do some things to it.
Okay. And it's automatically creating those groups on the bottom.
You see
layer?
these right here? These
Correct.
are layers.
Okay, got it. So,
Okay.
okay, I got it.
So let's just say this combination of levels, color balance, and curves
All right.
gives
You
me
put that
something
in.
that I think, oh yeah, okay, I like that.
So you're going
you
to
know,
create a group.
I want to save this for future use and be
Right.
able to tweak these. So I'm going to select all 3 of those.
Correct.
And you see this right here? It says create a new group.
Okay, got it. That's the part I missed.
Well, I hadn't gotten that far yet, so you didn't miss it
Oh.
yet.
Okay,
So, and here,
there
I
is your
could-
group.
I could give this, a name, I
One
could call
to
this, warm and bright.
And Diana, what he used before was the preset, and that creates its own group.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
now
fine.
I'm showing you that if you don't even need to worry about
You
those
do your
presets.
own.
You can do it from those presets, or you can totally make your own from scratch, which is what I'm doing.
Got it.
I just made a group of 3 different things that gives you this look that's here, and I've got that selected now. And so I can go to my library, click the plus, say
Right.
add all. And there, look, now I've got this warm and bright, preset. So I can say, oh, well, let me open up some other image here.
And apply it to that.
Mm-hmm.
So what you said, Lynn, was
And now here's the thing to remember. It won't directly apply it. If you double click from your library, it opens up a separate item. And from the separate item, you drag the group
to the
on
picture.
top of the image you want.
Okay.
And there, now it's applied, but it's completely adjustable.
Right,
All the elements individually
because it's in a group.
are completely, because they're adjustment layers.
Right, got it.
That are grouped together. So you can basically create your own highly adjustable preset this way, which is what these are. These are adjustable presets that Adobe has, thrown in there, for you already. But if you want to do it yourself from scratch,
Right.
that's how you do it. Except it appears in your library, not, over here. But once something's in your library, if you use other Adobe products, this library is in the cloud, and this library is accessible from other products that can use these assets. So, for instance, I use Premiere Pro, and for video. So I could actually go in. I can access some of this stuff from Premiere Pro, and apply some of this stuff to video as well, because I can access this library from there.
Hey, Jim, I got a question.
Mhm.
You double clicked it and created another file. Can you just simply drag it on top of this image, not double click it?
As you can see, it does not work. I just did it. Do
Yeah.
you see what happened here? It's all that
Created a
stuff
smart
is not
object,
there.
yeah.
It does not work.
All right. Well, I was just curious.
Yep. Yeah. See, it gives you a blank. It just gives you a transparent layer. It does nothing if you drag it on there. That's why it's a great question. And that's why I was, specifying, okay, yeah, you take one of these and you double click, and then from the layers panel, you have to carry it over and drop it on. And now you've got it there.
All right. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, I have a basic question. When
Uh-huh.
working with Photoshop years ago, somewhere or another, I was told that I should always create a duplicate background layer.
That's a smart thing to do in a
Okay.
lot of cases. Now, the beauty of an adjustment layer is, as you can see, it does not affect that. Okay. That's one of the nice things about adjustment layers is you don't have to duplicate your background layer, which doubles the memory that it's taking up in your system. If you notice, you can change this down here to show you document sizes. Okay, see 74.3 megabytes. And as I add adjustment layers to that, you see my file size did not change here. Adjustment layers don't take a toll on your memory. Now, when you need to do something to the actual pixels of this image, then yes, that is a good idea to duplicate that layer. And then and now you see what happened to my size? Now I'm using up 148.5 megabytes of memory because I duplicated that. So every time you actually have real pixel layers, that's one thing to be aware of. You are using more of your memory resources of your computer. But yes, if I wanted to actually work on the pixels on this, which would be, for instance, if I were to do some
Removing of stuff.
do some cloning, and things like that, where I'm actually affecting the pixels, then yes, that original layer, is your backup, that can save you if you screw things up because you're not working on your original background. So in answer to your question, yeah, if you're actually going to do something to the pixels, that is a good thing to do. Adjustment layers do not actually, affect the pixels of that layer. So therefore, whatever you do with these adjustment layers, you're still not affecting the pixels on this layer. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
And you're using, and as you can see, we haven't increased the toll on the memory resources of the computer. The file size is still 74, 74.3 megabytes, whether I'm using those or not. Yeah.
That was a good question though, Jack, because that would have been my
Mhm.
question too. Because I do that too. The one thing that I noticed, and I don't know if it's just because I'm doing it wrong, lately when I've been cloning something or trying to do something like, removing something, it creates a mask on its own. And then I end up having to do Command-Shift-E to bring all the layers together.
Mhm.
I don't know whether I'm doing something incorrect or what.
So, all right, I'm gonna move on and show you something else here.
I want you to know, Jim, I was signed up I paid for a class, a black and white class that was being offered by nature photographers, and I blew it off just to come to this because
Oh my goodness.
Me
So
too. Yeah, me too. I'm signed up for it too. But it's recorded so we can watch it later.
I know this is so much more helpful in some ways.
well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I always learn.
I'm gonna move this over to another screen here. All right, let me find an image I was going to. Oh, okay.
Do it with you at the
Here,
other
I'll
classes.
bring
Lynn?
this image back.
Lynn, did you attend the other two classes?
Oh yeah.
They were good.
How many of you have seen or worked with the new live gradients?
I haven't. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. This is such an improvement over the old gradients seem so primitive now.
Are you
So
in regular Photoshop?
Yeah, but this is in, it's in beta too. Yeah. This is in standard Photoshop, but it's in the newest version. All the old versions of Photoshop see where it says now you can go back to the old way, which is now classic gradient. This is the old way of doing things. So I've got a gradient chosen up here, and the old way of doing it was, well, you kind of drew it across the screen, and then you would see it, and then if you didn't like where it was, you'd say, oh well, nope, let me fix it and try it again. Oh no, let me fix it and try it again. You just had to keep redoing it. Let me go back here and do this. Guess what we're doing? We're making a duplicate layer. So now we've got that duplicate layer. We'll do it on there, and we'll choose let's choose like a soft light blend mode. In fact, I'm just going to create an empty layer, and we'll tell it soft light blend mode. And now we'll put a,
Why do you create an empty layer?
because I'm just gonna let it fill with that gradient and not worry about any other pixels being there. So I've got just an empty layer.
That's with the plus sign on the right.
Yeah, I'll just do it again. Yep. If I just do this,
Got it.
bang,
Okay.
I've got an empty layer, and I'm going to tell it soft light so that these interact with each other now. And like I say, the old way was you would draw it and say, yeah, I really don't like it that way. Let me try that. Oh, let me move it over here. You know, it was just, you know, it was all trial and error. You know, yuck. Now, they just call it gradient. It's the new way to do it. Now they've got an actual toolbar here. You can now see what's going on in real time instead of that hit and miss guessing going on. You can change your transition point with this slider. You can stretch out the fade, you can compress it, you can move it around, you can change the angle, you can do everything and actually see it happen in real time instead of that stupid old, you know, hit and miss, you know, guessing situation.
By moving that then, Jim, it's going low, it's taking some of it away, taking the green away. right?
This middle piece here
Uh-huh.
sets the transition point. It sets the midpoint,
Got
you know,
it,
so to speak. The midpoint doesn't have to be in the middle. We can say, oh, we want it, you know, mostly green with a little bit of blue, or
Right.
mostly blue with a little bit of green, you know, etc. And you can, you know, tighten it up, stretch it out, you know,
That's
etc. And this is something I do. You notice my work has a lot of extra space around it. A lot of people aren't aware that tools, especially a tool like this, can go off your canvas. And if you give yourself the room to do that, you even have much more finesse
right.
going on by dragging some tools off of your canvas. Now you can actually, by the way you see the color dot that tells you what each color is, you can change your colors.
Where did you get that from, Jim? Sorry.
See the color dot?
Oh, got it. Sorry.
If you double click the color dot, you get a color picker, and you can say, oh yeah, well, let's make that a nice warm color. And you can go over here and click that one and say, yeah, let's make that, you know, a reddish color now. And now you've got, you know, this gradient going on, and you can flip it around. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But now this is a wonderful tool. It's no longer primitive. These live gradients are great that you can do this with.
Can you change the opacity with that opacity slider up there, Jim?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yep. See?
Yeah.
And if you notice, you go up here in the properties and you see, you know, you see that following what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
Now you can't do it right here in the image, but you can go here to the properties panel. You can, you know, you can make the same adjustments, and you see it happening, you know, on your image there as well. Okay. And just, but what you can do if you go over here to the properties panel, you can also add more points and more colors. and you can change the colors. Let's do that. And now see, so you can add colors. You can change the transition points between additional colors now. You've got all that going on that that you can do there. You can make a bunch of changes to this by adding more colors and more points and everything there. If you need to add anything to it, you do it up there. So this is really great that I did this, that they did this. Works on masks too. A lot of times we put gradients on masks, and it's really great to be able to adjust that gradient across a mask, live. Let me get rid of that.
Jim, if you create a special gradient like that, could you save it?
Yes, you can. Put it in the library as an asset, just like we did a minute ago. Yep. So a lot of times they use for a mask. Okay, I put this multiply mask on here because they just wanted to darken up, the bottom part of the image, but I wanted to leave the top bright. I put multiply on here.
And then you're going to put a
Then I
mask.
put a mask on here. Then I'm going to put a gradient, on the mask, and let me
Oh,
and let me pick basics. Yeah, there, black to white. So now I can see in real time what I'm doing with my mask.
how
So
did that panel come up, Jim, on the top? I can't watch all the different screens. I'm like, I'm sure.
this is when you choose the gradient tool. These are your gradient options,
Okay, those
up here.
automatically pop up.
And here's the gradient I chose to put on the mask.
it,
Was
got
just a simple black and white, because that's what you're working with on a mask, is black and
Right,
white. So now I've just created this black and white mask to adjust
That's really cool.
that layer. But the beauty is, in the old days, you just had to keep dropping this gradient and say, nope, don't like it, let me try it this way. Nope, don't like it, let me try it this way. Now with the live gradient, you've got real-time adjustment of what's going on with it here, which is really fantastic on a mask. This is probably the most, the way you would use it the most is doing this. Let me throw the mask away, and I'm going to put a new mask on here, and see, you can change to, that should be, which one is that? It's not telling me as I pop up. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's the radial, which,
And you're putting it on the mask. Okay.
which can be, a very interesting effect. Now, if I go here, adjustment, let me put a, let me find, there they are.
So you went into properties to
I
choose the
wanted to do that.
curves,
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah, I'm just messing with the bottom layer so that the on the top layer I can do something. In fact, I'm going to throw that away. I'm going to make that bright.
Where are you now?
That up there, and I'm going to just do this, and then now on this layer over here, I'll put a mask. I'll put a radial gradient on it. And I can see in real time, exactly what's going on with that gradient that I put on the mask. And there you go.
Wow.
And the beauty of it is now it comes back when I click on that mask.
It shows you where you put it.
It's back there, and I can readjust it again, which is a fantastic thing. See, there it is, committed. But if I go back to this layer and click on that mask, there it is. So that's part of the beauty of these live gradients they've thrown in there now. They're really, really useful on masks.
You know, if I can just make an observation,
Mhm.
over the last couple of years, it was almost like Adobe was putting a lot of their Photoshop features into Lightroom.
Certain
Now,
ones, yes, they have been built. They have been crossing some things over into Lightroom.
to the point where a lot of times the feeling is, well, I can do 95% of my post-processing in Lightroom, but now it seems that Adobe is adding a lot more fine-tuning features in Photoshop.
Yeah, there's
which-
a lot of things coming in that, because of the different processing engines in the background, there are things that Photoshop will be able to do that Lightroom will never do. But there are some things that Lightroom will, be faster and easier, to do things with.
But it looks like what we're going to be doing, or we could be doing, instead of 95% of what we do in Lightroom, maybe 90%, and the other 10% in Photoshop.
Yeah, and it's only because there's now new things coming into Photoshop that were never there before that have just boosted the usability of Photoshop. Yep. So yeah, and one of the things I'll show you too with you can fill up your canvas with your image while you're working on it, sure, but like I say, for certain tools that I know that I want to go out of the bounds, I do work with it like this a lot. Another reason to work with it like this is actually for the brush tool, and you can actually move it around within your canvas as well. But I'll do something like this a lot. One of the things I'll do is burn down the edges of an image, old darkroom technique, and I'll go in and just get a really gigantic brush, and I'll make sure the brush is soft. And then watch this. I'm not even going to touch the image, but the brush feathers outside. You see that?
Huh?
I'm not even touching the image with my brush, but look at what's
it's
happening.
working on your canvas.
Look at what's happening to the edges because I'm using the feathered edge of the brush. You could never do that if this image was filling your frame because you can't drive your brush far enough outside the edge.
It's really
So
cool.
this is a use case for doing this, and I'm going to go back. Let me just go back and just go back to where it was open. I'm just gonna reopen that.
Lynn, I was channeling you yesterday. I was working on a photo and I kept using the gradient tools. The radial filter, the radial gradients and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Jim, now I've got Lynn in my head.
But yeah, let's say you can.
That's really cool. You did that also, or I don't know if it was you or Robert did that also to apply a vignette.
Yes.
Is in essence what you're doing.
In essence, what I'm doing here, I'm specifically, burning down the edges, and this is, very organic. This does not look like, a preset or a filter or anything like that. You can do a little more on, one side, a little less on another if you need it. You can go a little bit into, a little bit more into the corners if you want, like that. But you do not have this subtlety and this flexibility, if your image is like this, because you can't get your brush,
Right.
out there where it needs to be. So that's another use case for, shrinking something down on your palette, because there are tools and things you can do, to extend beyond the edges of your image. And this is one that I do all the time, which is, not even just for burning down the edges like this, but when I'm doing some retouching, if there's an image that has, that has lens vignetting in it that I want to take out, then I would do, I'll do the opposite. I'll go out here, if this image came out of camera vignetted like this, I'd be coming out here with a white brush, and going, see, that's what I'm doing now. I'm out here with a white brush, outside the corners, undoing if this happened to have some natural vignetting, from using a cheap lens or something. You see that?
Yeah.
And that brush, the outline of this brush never touched that image, but the feathered edge, of that brush extends beyond that physical outline you see of the brush.
And you
So-
use a very large brush.
This is a 5,000 pixel brush.
Yeah, that's what I just saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, which is actually the maximum size brush. That brush won't go any bigger. This is the biggest brush, and you can see as I go in on the image, and you can see how big this brush, actually really is when I, fill the frame with that image. That's a 5,000 pixel brush. But when I say a soft 5,000 pixel brush, way outside your image can be used, to very subtle effect. And now, I'll bring the image, back bigger to see. And now you can see, what I did with that brush.
That's a great tip. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. That that covers most of what I wanted to impart tonight to people and get you to see. Any questions on what you've seen so far, or in the last couple minutes? Anything you just want me to jump into, quick, that's even unrelated to this?
Jim, the object selection tool, is there anything new in this version?
Just that the AI behind it has been getting better. Yeah. Oh, let me see. I'm on an empty layer.
like
So
the option, like the object removal tool, or the
see, here's the object, select tool, right now, finding things on this image, which is kind of a tough image. There's a lot of detail in that one. Let's try.
I guess I was meaning the object removal.
Let's try. Here's the there. Yeah. See, here's object select, in action on this image.
Where are you?
You can see how you can see how much the AI has improved on this tool recently. I'm just moving the mouse around and look
Yeah,
at this.
we're not seeing anything, Jim, on our end.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, what's he doing?
Oh, did you lose? Did you
No,
lose my?
We see the image, but we don't see the.
Oh, you don't see the pink outlines of
see it.
things?
No.
No, we did on the
no
previous image, but
changes.
not this one.
Oh, that's bizarre. Yeah, because on my screen everything's turned. Things are turning pink, and it's great. Let me. I wonder if it has to do with.
Thank
What
you.
about now?
I thought I was going crazy.
Do you see it? Do you see it now?
No,
Like
No.
before, we could see the marching ants before when you were doing it.
All
but
right. Do you see
can
marching
pink.
ants now?
No,
No.
We don't see anything.
we just see the three.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, for whatever reason, that's not going through over the video.
Yeah, we saw it on the previous image though, Jim, not this
Yeah.
one for some reason. I don't know if it's
Uh-huh.
the size of the image or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, it's let me try something here, because the other image is a PNG, and maybe that's why. Let me change the PNG here. All right, now I got a JPEG. Can you see it now?
Yeah, everything is it's made like tiles all over your screen, Jim.
Wow. All right. What about
Such
now?
a
Do you see my background? Do
resolution.
you see my background properly?
We could see your Photoshop in your image, but everything you just pulled out made big tiles across there, and they're stuck there.
It looks
Wow.
like your system is slowed down or something.
Yeah, that must be a Zoom thing going on. I wonder if there's a bandwidth issue. Well, that's sad, but anyway, all right. So there was another question, I think. I'm gonna close that.
You said that the brush was a 5,000 bristle brush?
It was
That-
1,000. That brush I was using earlier was a 5,000 pixel brush. It's the largest size of brush we'll go to in Photoshop.
Nothing's closing, Jim.
Oh, so whatever I'm doing on my end is not happening on your end.
Nope.
So that's a Zoom thing. You know, my Zoom reset in the middle of the meeting earlier. I don't know why.
I want to stop sharing and then try bring it
That's a-
back up again.
That's a good idea. Can you see my Photoshop now?
Nope.
No,
It
Oh.
says,
Yeah, it says I am screen sharing.
Yeah, all we see is a black screen.
Okay, yeah, Zoom has failed. Well, that's sad. But at least it waited to the end.
Well, Jim, you had some good tips. There was some
Excellent.
interesting stuff.
Well,
Sure.
good. I'll do another one soon because I got other things on the list. But it's a good thing I didn't. I looked at the time and decided not to go to them because you couldn't see them anyway.
But this was excellent, Jim. It was worth blowing off my class.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. You know, let me kill Photoshop and just see if
Right now, you're sharing the black screen of death.
Stop share. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Just for the heck of it, one more time, I'm going to see what happens.
Nope.
Nothing.
black
Still a
screen.
black screen.
Okay. Yep. Nope. That's all right. I'm going to stop sharing because Zoom has failed.
Censored you.
So, but you can see me on Zoom?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the screen sharing part has failed.
Jim, I want to thank you. This is really good. And
Yep.
want to thank
Good.
you.
I'm glad.
Just all that you give of your time and talent is much appreciated.
Do you guys want to cover some time lapse stuff next time I do this before we do the
Yes.
time lapse assignment?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait, I thought that the time lapse was due this coming Thursday.
No, it's August.
No.
That's August.
Oh, okay.
Telephoto.
Telephoto
Jim,
landscape is this week, this month.
Oh,
In
okay.
anticipation
It's not-
of
yeah, yeah.
time lapse, Jim, can I ask you a question? Totally unrelated to tonight's stuff.
Uh-huh.
You know, are you familiar with the DJI Osmo Mobile 6, like the one Lynn has?
What is that?
It's one of the gimbal stabilizers for a camera. I mean,
I
phone.
Yeah, you're talking about a DJI Osmo. The Osmo is the Pocket series.
Right, right.
Okay, I have the original DJI Osmo Pocket, and I still use the heck out of it. I love it.
Okay. Are you familiar with Xiaomi Smooth 5S?
I have a Zhiyun gimbal for my phone, but
Yeah.
it got knocked off a table in Robert's studio when we were doing a filming thing one time and never worked right ever since.
I knocked it off. I'll admit it. I knocked it off.
I wasn't going to name names. So.
And what's-
I didn't do it on purpose.
No,
what's the
but
difference?
so yes, I have one that's I have a Zhiyun one that's retired, and I also have one that I use for the GoPro cameras made by
Yes.
a company called Hohem, and it is fantastic. Though I have to look and see if Hohem makes one for a phone to replace the Zhiyun one, because the one that I use for my GoPros is works fantastic and is nearly indestructible. I'm responsible for doing some pretty horrible things to it, and it doesn't skip a beat.
So what's the
Okay.
difference between that gimbal and the gimbal that we have like for birding?
This is made for, it's
These are gyro stabilized with motors
gyro
in them.
stabilized. So yeah, the gimbal,
They have motors in
used
them.
for birding is a balance. It's all balance. It's only balance.
Right.
and
What
weight,
does
Mhm.
this one do?
This thing is actually motorized.
And so you push a button and it moves by itself?
Yep.
It
Yep.
rotates?
Yep.
How much does that run?
This
What
is,
did you imagine?
the newest one is $149. This one is I have the Osmo 5 and it's, right now it's like $105 on.
Yeah. Here's
on
the
Amazon.
here's the Hohem one that I use for
Yeah.
for the
The
GoPros.
GoPro,
and
yeah. I've seen-
yeah,
I've seen-
and I can't tell you how much I love this thing, and I only paid $99 for it.
And this thing has a handle.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm really like lost on this. Where do you put that on your tripod?
Now, well, you can stick it on, the bottom goes on the tripod. Or
It's
you can
got
do-
a
hold it
you know,
and
there's a
walk around
screw,
with it.
Oh, okay,
But-
got
But
it.
then.
but
it's
this is made for holding in your hand.
But you can't put it on a
Oh.
tripod.
It's a handle.
Yeah, it's a handle.
Oh,
See, this one actually comes with its own little tripod.
and why do I want this?
If you want to do stuff with your phone. This is for your phone.
Okay,
And you could do time. This past weekend, I did time lapses with my phone and with my camera. And I use this to do the time lapse because it has to sit still for forever. So
Mhm.
and I actually can do, I did motion lapses with it too. So I can set it and there's an app that comes with it and you just
You can
tell
program it.
you program it and you tell it, I want this interval for this thing, this many images, and I want it to be a motion lapse going from left to right. And as it's taking all the images, it turns the camera.
can you send me the link for that? Or
Mhm.
can you
It's
put it?
called a DJI Osmo 5 or 6, and it's in Amazon.
DJI,
5.
DJI Osmo Coat? No,
Osmo 5
OSMO.
or
just
6. AOSMO.
6.
6 is the newest one. I have a 5.
Okay, so DJI Osmo 6.
Yeah.
Something or other, gimbal.
But you can
check
run
out-
around with this. You can, walk around and do stuff, and it holds if it's not turned on now because I don't have the phone hooked up to it. But it
Yeah,
balances the phone.
don't ever turn it on with nothing on it.
Right.
And is it Diana?
was
Cruz
checking.
again?
I was checking out some of the other brands, Zion, Smooth 5S. Some people were raving about that. It holds
Yeah,
the
the
phone better.
yeah the Zhiyun Smooth 5 was what I had for my phone, but
Yeah.
it's not. It still works, but it's not smooth. It's
Its gyroscope got kind of wet.
yeah, it's smooth for about 5 seconds, and then it will like jerk and swing all over the place, and then it'll stabilize again, and it'll be good for another 5 or 6 seconds, and then it'll just go crazy again. It's the Zhiyun not smooth now.
How do you spell that, Jack, please? The
What-
Zion?
Oh, that's spelled ZHIYUM.
ZHY.
ZHI.
ZHIYUM.
Why
And
wouldn't
then the next word is smooth, and then it's 5, the number 5 and S.
5S?
And
Okay.
then the Hohem is the other. I guess those are the 3 leading ones that pretty much, they all look the same. They all do the same, but they're little small advantages
Yeah.
for one or the other.
Lynn, is this Diana proof?
I don't think anything is.
Well,
Diana.
I'll tell you what,
program.
the $99 Hohem one that I use for my GoPros has I have put it to the test. Let me tell you what.
Yeah.
Does that come with a program too, Jim? Or do you just come with it?
It's actually that one is super simple.
Okay, and how do you spell ho hum?
Hohem, just like it sounds, HOHEM. Ho him.
The rest of that one, ho-hem. I
I
have-
just looked up the DJI Osmo 6 is $149.
Right. Yeah, the 5 is like 105.
Well, Jim, thanks for the info. I'm gonna have to bail, but that was a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah.
thank
So
you.
we'll next time I do this, we'll hit up time lapse, and I've got a couple other things I didn't get to tonight that you may find interesting.
Great.
All right. Thanks
Okay.
again.
Questions on time lapse?
Thanks again, Jim.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
All right, guys.
Jim, what was the ho-hem? H-O-H-M?
HOHEM.
That's it?
That's it.
Doesn't have any numbers or?
The one I have, but see, do you have a GoPro?
Nope.
Then you don't want the one I have.
Okay. I have an iPhone.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
know,
cool.
you need something you need a completely different model for a phone. They are specific to, you know, certain action cameras or phones.
Great.
Yeah.
Lynn, is the program easy to use with that?
But the one for DJI, yeah, it's just like any other app, you know, phone app, camera
Mhm.
app. It's just like a camera app. It's just for
Yeah,
the,
'cause
you
I
know,
have-
you work it all through the handle.
Yeah, they use like one universal app across all their products, and you know even the same app works on my Osmo Pocket, and you can program the hyperlapse, you know, movements
Yep.
on it, you know, all through the app on the screen. Mhm.
Oh, I hope you do that. Please don't do that potluck like right before when I'm leaving for the country. I mean,
we'll,
that's usually my luck.
we'll see how the timing works out.
Before August 4th, please.
All right, Jim,
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much. Good night, everybody.
Others.